Come
All
on, I'm
right,
already
it is now
depressing me.
time for the Week 3 fantasy show where we'll preview Week 3. But first, we'll go over Week 2 as it was a very, very interesting second week of fantasy football. Much better than Week 1. As we see some of these scores here from this past week, we'll start with my matchup versus Rat as I get a big win over Rat, 154 to 124, to move myself to 1-1 after that disappointing Week 1 loss. So a good bounce back for my team. Scores the most points in the league this past week, so that was nice. As we look at the matchup here, Brock Purdy just did average. Didn't need him to do a whole lot though, as I had some big Thursday night football performances to get me started. From Jefferson getting almost 25 to Hawkinson getting 25. Jake Elliott had another nice game as well on Thursday night, so I got off to a very strong start on Thursday, and the team didn't look back on Sunday as well, with my running backs Pollard and Connor also both getting good points. Metcalf had a decent game even though he was banged up, and Kenneth Walker had a nice game with 2 touchdowns. Rat, decent performance from his team, but it wasn't quite enough. 124 is usually a good total where you have a good chance to win, especially with some of the other scores out there. As Mahomes had a nice game, James Cook, who he traded for, that was a good part of the trade. The bad part of the trade was Brees Hall only getting a few touches and getting zero point 0.9 points. That was kind of the difference in the matchup, was the Brees Hall running back and the tight end, as he traded for Pitts, and he has since then shipped him off. He needed another huge game from Tyreek Hill, and he just came out with 15. He used all his points in week 1. Lucky for me, I wasn't facing Rat in week 1. Rat, any comments you have about our matchup from last week?
Good game, buddy.
Yeah, good
Uh,
game.
I like your team also. You have a good team. You're gonna put up a good
Okay.
fight this year.
Okay,
And,
thank you. All
good
right,
team.
good
Why
That's
aren't
all
you
I
good
have
game
to
live in
from
the
me
say.
as well.
Discord? Why aren't you live in the
Oh
Discord?
yeah, good point. Thank you.
I will say, yeah, I definitely had trouble in some areas, so hopefully that can bounce back next week.
Well, you've already done a bunch of trades, which we'll talk
I'm
about after this
expecting Brees
recap.
Hall to
So
be unleashed next week.
okay, so
This
you
weekend.
expect there was a tough matchup against the Cowboys this week,
It
so you
was.
can't overreact.
Yep.
Although only 4 carries, he's gonna have to get more than that. But
Yep.
yeah,
I think he will. I think
okay.
there will be a bounce back.
Anybody else have any comments they'd like to make over this matchup before we move on?
Nope, because Rat traded away half his team.
That is true. I mean, I would take credit for causing you to nuke your team,
Oh,
although I
Um,
mean it is you,
why can't
so
I see you? Is Discord
I
fucking?
what?
if I were to comment,
Oh,
I
there we
would say
go.
the
I fixed
golfers team is pretty good,
Okay, thank you.
and
It's early
yeah,
though,
that's
only
that's
week
how I would
2, but
comment.
we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next matchup. We had a good bounce back for Matt as well after a very bad week last first week. He gets a good bounce back victory, 123 to 107 over Tyler. Sends Tyler to 0-2. A little bit better score from Tyler compared to week 1, but not nearly enough as Matt got a comfortable victory. The Cam Newton Geno Smith had a nice bounce back game in week 2 with 23 points. Najee Harris again continued to be disappointing. I mean, Matt's running backs continue to be the problem, which I guess he's trying to address. But he got a much better performance out of his stud wide receivers. Diggs had an okay game. Adams had a big game. And T. Higgins, after getting 0 in the first week, bounced back with a huge 28-point game. So that was kind of the difference in the matchup, was Matt's wide receivers who he drafted uh, had good, huge performances to carry him over the edge. On Tyler's side, missing Cup obviously doesn't help. Now Madison has had a rough start to the season, and it didn't get any better now with the news today that Akers is going to Minnesota, so we'll see how that works. Damian Pierce continues to be a little bit of a disappointment so far this year as well, so it didn't help. He since shipped out CeeDee Lamb after his huge game. That was kind of the one bright spot besides Gabe Davis. He shipped them both since then. So some interesting decisions by Tyler. He's 0-2. He's probably feeling the heat that he needs to make some moves, and he has made some moves, as we'll talk about. Anybody have any comments on this past matchup?
I'm coming if nobody's talking.
Huh?
Yeah, the
I
Tyler's
said
team's
I like
terrible.
I was gonna say I agree with Cheese there. I did call Matt with the upset, so there was no
Okay, yeah, there were
surprise
some people
there.
that picked Matt.
And yeah, it was the battle of the mid
Look,
over
I
here.
really thought
But
Madison and Pierce would do something. They have
Okay,
not. It's
yeah,
been really
man,
terrible.
good job,
yeah.
Matt.
Very disappointing from From those running back perspective, I'm sure
Yeah,
Tyler, when he took them
it's
where he
getting
took them,
scary.
was hoping they would do better than this so far. But Tyler's making moves. He's been active, so we'll see if that can turn his season around. All right, moving on to the next matchup in the blowout of the week that I don't think many people predicted would be such a big blowout. Bill just absolutely destroys Pussy by like 60 points, 137 to 74. Rough week for Pussy as he only hits 74 after a rough week in week one. He does fall to 1-1 though, so that's the I guess you could say the fortune of pulling out that ugly week one win is it's not total disaster as he's only 1-1. But Bill's team put a strong performance up after week one. Josh Allen had a nice bounce back game. Stevenson had 15. Monty also had another good game before getting hurt. Hopkins had a rough one, which he sent straight away. Nico Collins, who he started and got rewarded greatly. Great start by Bill there to start Nico Collins and got him 27 huge points. Kelsey, who he is also sent shipped away, only had 12, even though he got in the end zone. He started Tutu Atwell as well, so some interesting starts by Bill, but they paid off as he got 15 from him as well. So yeah, overall a very solid team performance from Bill. From Pussy's side, I mean, you look at this team. Watson looked bad, only got 11. Javonte Williams didn't do much. Travis Etienne had a rough game after a good week one. Drake London was kind of the one highlight who he didn't even kind of regretted starting, and then he starts him and gets 18. So that was the one decent highlight. Other than that, obviously the big story that Pussy doesn't want to mention, Nick Chubb and that ugly injury on Monday Night Football really hurts Pussy's team, who was already kind of struggling to start the year. Now he doesn't have his main running back that he loves so much. Big hurt to the Browns stack as well. So now it kind of falls more on Watson and Cooper, who he benched because he thought he wasn't going to be out. There was rumors he was going to be out, and then he played and got 16. But it didn't matter. Even if he started Cooper, he would have still lost by a ton. So at the end of the day, some rough week for Pussy's team, not only in the scoring department, but the injuries department. Pussy, what do you have to say, and how are you going to turn this all around?
It's just unfortunate.
Okay.
I've drafted Chubb. I'm a big fan of Chubb.
Yeah, you do every year.
It's just painful to see. He's
Okay.
got a great work ethic. I hope he recovers and can play again someday. But in terms of this
Can I
season,
point out one thing about Chubb? I mentioned this last week, and you didn't pull the trigger. If you remember last week, I said it's about time to trade Chubb to Slaps, like you've done the previous years, and yet you
yeah, I
didn't
just
pull the
didn't want to do
trigger,
it.
and
I did not want to do it.
that could have been
I
one of the
love Chubb
biggest
too
trade rapes
much.
of the year. Okay, all right.
And then, yeah, in terms of this season, it's Travis Etienne's just gonna have to be a dog all season.
Okay.
It's not looking up for my season already 2 weeks through,
Mm,
so that sucks. But I mean,
okay.
I'm
So
optimistic this
you're
upcoming week. I'll say
optimistic.
that.
Okay. You're only 1-1. You're right in the middle of the pack. Bill moves to 2-0 though, one of the few 2-0 teams left. So congrats to Bill.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't like Bill's team, however. It just
Well,
okay.
is
Well,
what it
he
is.
just destroyed you behind the woodshed by 60
Yep,
points,
he also has a
I
new
know.
team.
I know. I know. I
but you
just
don't
don't like
like it,
his team.
huh? Okay. All right. Just out of curiosity, what is your panic meter on a scale of 1 to 10 of you finishing last place this year at this point?
Finishing last,
Yes.
I'm at a 0.
Zero. You
I'm at
have
a
no
0.
concern
Oh,
at all about
oh.
finishing
At
in
this
last
point, I have
place.
no concern at all in finishing
Really?
last place. I will not let
Okay.
that happen.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Making the playoffs, I see it as a 50-50% right at
Okay.
50-50 right now. I'm gonna
Okay.
say, and then you know me, I'm gonna be active on the trade market. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try and
Okay.
get
Try to
value where I
rape a couple
can, and
people. Okay. I mean, just call it as it is. You don't have to say value. You could
I'm
just
gonna
say rape.
I'm gonna have to trade my way
Okay.
to success.
Okay.
That's just the way it's
Well,
gonna
lucky
have to
for
be.
you, there's some people here that are very open to making trades, no matter how their team's looking. So, okay. So, all right, 0% chance of him
I'm
finishing
gonna
last.
start getting
Interesting.
people that picking up people, trading for people
Oh,
that's down low, and
okay. All right.
try and flip it.
All right. Anybody else have any comments on this matchup or Pussy's team or Bill's team that they'd like to make?
I can't. I
Yeah.
cannot comment on teams because a billion trades were made. So
Okay. Well,
I will
in
say
regard to this match.
I'm
Pusa's
sorry.
team is shit, and he
Uh,
has a lot of work to do. A
Oh,
lot of work
can
to
we
be
be
done.
nice sometimes?
I mean, it's the truth. There's a lot of work to be done.
First of
Yeah.
all, Cheese wants to be toxic every time,
I
but
don't want to be
Sorry,
toxic. I think
I
it's
Bill's
mean,
okay.
team is pretty
it's
good.
just
I,
honesty. Okay.
I'm
I
sorry
was
to
trying to
say
get
about
Nico
It's not
Collins.
toxic. It's honesty.
That's a great
I'm
pick by Bill.
lucky,
Okay.
and Bill, yeah, Bill definitely
Nico
is
Collins was like a 13th
working
round
towards a
pick.
good team.
Okay.
I like what Bill doing. Keep it
All
up,
right.
Bill.
All right. Moving on to the next matchup that
Oh,
Ernie really had no worry
week of
about,
the
he said, to start
match
the
of the
week.
week.
So he took care of Zach 123 to 106 to send Zach into further misery in MIA.
Oh,
As now Zach falls to 0 and 2. Ernie picks up the win to move to 2 and 0. So a very good start for Ernie as he's happy about his strong start. He was not really concerned at all this whole matchup from the very beginning. That he always believed he would beat Zach, and his team came through. Decent performance. You got to be a little concerned about Burrow though with that lingering injury. He's clearly not playing 100% as he's not looked that great the first 2 weeks, but that's what he has Trevor Lawrence for. That I guess he can always put back in. McCaffrey continues his very strong start. Derrick Henry continues his very strong start. Rough game for Calvin Ridley, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. Mike Williams picked it up after his week one. Sam Laporte continues to look like a very viable starting tight end in fantasy. And Justin Jefferson Jr. had another big kind of game, catching another long touchdown. So if he continues to get that each week, Ernie will be hard to beat. On Zach's side, it was kind of just some more misery. As Tua came back down to earth, Josh Jacobs continues to kind of have a rough start. Miles Sanders also not looking that great as that Carolina offense looks bad. Chase, the big worry for Zach's team is Jamar Chase. When will he get going? He kind of goes whenever Burrow goes, and so far they have not been connecting very much. For a top 4 pick, that's got to be concerning. Back-to-back rough weeks start the year. Deebo Samuel had a big game though to bounce back. Mark Andrews came back in and looked pretty good. Michael Thomas got quite a few targets, which is a good sight. So a decent game for him. So some bright spots for Zach's team compared to week one, but still not quite good enough overall to get a victory. Anyone have any comments on either of these teams they'd like to make?
I know Ernie's got a great team. He
Okay.
knows it. I think Zach's team, honestly, is not that as bad as some of the other ones.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think there's no shot that Chase and like
he's talking the truth.
Jacobs will continue to score this low.
Okay. You would think
So
he will eventually get it
he's
together.
I mean, 0-2 is kind of rough to come back from, but I think, you know, once Jacob, it feels like Jacob's kind of like not, because he didn't do training camp, so he's kind of out of shape. But once
Yeah.
he gets back into, or not usually, I think Zach has upside there. I
Okay.
think it's unlike Puss's team, who's
Ooh. Okay.
fucked. I feel like
I will
some of
say
Zach's look,
something.
he put up 106. That's not bad. If like
I agree
Chase
with
has a
Cheese
decent
here.
game, he's looking at 120
You
plus.
agree with Chase or
I
disagree?
I agree with Cheese. Ernie
Okay.
has a good team. You see his main wide receiver struggling, but he's still putting up all those points.
Yep.
Zach, I do like Zach's team, actually. I just
Okay.
think it's unlucky he's not getting all the mesh together at the same time.
Mhm.
His bench is good also. I like his bench. He has a
Okay.
lot of good bench pieces over here, so I think Zach can turn the season around.
Okay. Interesting. My
Yeah.
only question with Zach is, although I don't think his team is the worst, I agree. I don't think it's the worst in the league. My question is, how invested is Zach in this season?
That is
He's
true.
definitely not been the same as last season. Last season, he was always commenting, always trying to make deals, and always hitting the
After week
waivers.
one,
I
And I
think
am very surprised that he's been a little bit MIA so far to start this year.
he's
So
a
I'm
busy man.
curious to see how he responds as he's 0-2. Does he just kind of ride with it and see what happens and then just throw in the towel eventually, or does he pick it up? We'll see. That's my only thing with Zach. All right, moving on to the next matchup. We had Pook picking up a big win against Slaps, although it was a lower scoring matchup, 106 to 95. Pook moves to 1-1, sends Slaps to 1-1. I mean, this was kind of a more mediocre scoreline as Richardson got hurt midway through the game, but got a strong points with two rushing touchdowns before he went out. Gibbs had an okay game. Brian Robinson continues to look pretty dominant. With a 21-point game, so Pook's looking good on that front with that pick. Lave had an okay game. Allen Robinson did not. Darren Waller had a decent game for tight ends. He started Pacheco in the flex, who didn't do a whole lot. So still some questions on Pook's team. But you just the name of the game is to pick up a win, and he did. As Slap's team kind of struggled, Hurts got him a good performance on Thursday night with those rushing touchdowns. But Mixon had a nice game as well. Edwards didn't do bad, so his running backs and quarterback didn't do bad, but it was the wide receiver position that he struggled. As Godwin got 10, but then A.J. Brown on Thursday night didn't do much and was getting angry for not getting the ball. Kittle only got 6. DJ Moore had a nice bounce back game, though, in week 2 as he traded for him, so that was a decent sight. But other than that, he started the Jets defense against the Cowboys. I don't really know what he was kind of thinking there, but got -1 point. I guess the Jets defense is good, but they were always going to get destroyed by the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are looking very strong. Really, it came down to Slaps' bench as he had DeAndre Swift in for Thursday night and then took him out before the game started as Zombie baited him with some Twitter news. And it worked because he had 27 points on his bench. And then he also benched Christian Kirk as well after his rough week 1, and he had 21 on the bench. So this could have been a totally different matchup. Also, Mostert with 25 on the bench.
I don't know why you benched
This
Mostert.
could have been a totally different matchup if he just starts some of the right players. So Slaps, we give him some shit for being the UK guy and not knowing a lot. But he continued today to get baited by Twitter news and then not start the right guys. So that's a recipe to lose, and that's how you lose fantasy matchups.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
You're saying start one of the guys. Obviously, you get rid of Edwards.
Yes.
But who else are you going to get rid of?
Better defense, of course.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking
okay. You mean I would possibly consider a flex. I mean,
right,
DJ Moore had a rough week 1
also
until Justin Fields shows me that he could throw the ball, but I mean,
only started.
This is part of Slap's problem, though. He's traded for a bunch of mediocre type guys that have potential to boom, but also have potential to bust. So it's going to be a matter on can he start the right ones each week. I mean, this is kind of his problem.
I'm not starting Gus over Mostert.
Pook also started Allen Robinson.
Yes, but according to Pook, he let Slaps choose his player. So I don't know why he would do that. I guess he was just uber confident. He must have just been uber confident that he was always going to win. So he let him pick his player. But I mean,
there's questions.
I mean, listen, you gotta start the right guys, and Slaps didn't, so he lost. I mean, yeah, it's tough decisions, but it's only tough decisions because he's traded for so many of the same type of players. Like he's got Godwin, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk. I mean, he can't start all those. So
Gus Edwards starting.
And then he spent all that money to get Gus Edwards when he really didn't even need him because he had Mostert. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have having too many good players, but when they're not consistently good players, like DJ Moore week 1 had a horrible week and then he bounced back with a good. I mean, Godwin only had 10, where week 1 he looked a lot better. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have a lot of reliable guys, but when they're not consistent, that's going to make it tough on you to know who to start. All right, we'll see how Slaps responds. Obviously, he's already made some trades.
Rest in peace, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, he won't be starting this week, so Pook will have to go back to Fields, who has had a rough start to the season. So we'll see if Fields can get it together for Pook. Moving on to the final matchup of the week, as we saw Cheese picking up a big win over Zombie. Tightish type game, 129 to 111. So Cheese moves to 1-1, gets the big bounce back after a disappointing week 1 where his team did good. Zombie, after his somewhat lucky week 1 win, then falls to Cheese in week 2 to go to 1-1 as well. So good victory for Cheese as he's had another solid week as he started Goff, who had a good game. Barkley had a good game before getting injured. The big spending acquisition before or after week 1 came through big, made all that FAAB dollars worth it with 28 huge points, and now is the clear number 1 back as they traded away Akers. So that's looking to be a very good FAAB budget move for Cheese. Sun God got 14, which caused Cheese to then trade him away. Even though right here it
It's
says
just
not for sale,
look.
apparently that was wrong
I'll
because he is
explain
for
when we get
sale.
to information
So,
came out.
okay.
Information came out.
Brandon
I just want to
Ayuk,
learn.
wide receiver 1, did not have
Got
wide
hurt.
receiver
He
1
got hurt. He got
numbers.
hurt. He
Wide
got hurt.
receiver 3.
Evan
He got
Ingram
hurt.
had
Shut the
11.
hell up, Chief.
Jerry Jeudy, who for some reason he was so steadfast in playing, even though
Oh,
the
I thought he was.
Broncos fan me told you he's not that good.
He's
It didn't
already
matter.
gone
It didn't
also.
matter.
And he's gone
Well,
as
he's
well.
gone.
Yeah.
So
So Jordan Love had another solid game too on the bench as well. Looking at Zombies' team, Herbert did his normal thing, but just like the Chargers, Herbert does his thing, but the team still loses because the rest of the team did not do their thing. Khalil Herbert had a bad game. Jamal Williams once again had another bad game, which caused Zombie to ship him out.
Okay, he has Kamara.
Devontae Smith had a good game. That's kind of been Zombie's one bright star so far through the first 2 weeks. Jalen Waddle with just another average game, which caused
He's
Zombie to
gone.
ship him out as well. Musgraves, who he traded for, I believe, before the week, and then started him when he made the wrong decision there because he had Hunter Henry on the bench, who had 17, so that was a mistake. And then Garrett Wilson had a long touchdown catch, but other than that,
He's gone.
wouldn't have been anything, which I think Zombie realized, so he shipped him away as well. So basically, Zombie overhauled his whole team after losing this game. Can't really say I blame him after kind of 2 disappointing, mediocre weeks. So Zombie's looking to make some moves. Zombie, your comments after your loss to Cheese.
It happens sometimes. Sometimes
Wow.
you choose the wrong guy.
Okay.
you wouldn't have
And
won even if Hunter
Jamal
Henry was in.
Williams. And Jamal Williams got hurt.
Okay,
You
yeah.
would have still lost.
Could
if
have been
Hunter
an
Henry was in.
interesting Monday night game if Jamal Williams would have did something, but he did not.
Buddy, if you put
Jamal
Hunter
Williams
Henry in,
got hurt. What?
okay, but he got hurt though.
That's the point.
But there's no ifs.
He's trying to say that if he didn't get hurt, he would have got way more
Yeah,
points.
and Justin
Well,
Herbert
I
would
mean,
be.
Which, based on his
Yeah.
Week 1 performance, I don't know if you
Justin
can.
Why you
Herbert-
didn't get hurt?
Justin Herbert would have 18 Super Bowls if we're talking about imaginary scenarios. So calm down.
Okay.
All I
Every
would've
day on
needed
Twitter,
was-
I'm like, if Justin Herbert was on a different team, he'd win 80,000 games every year.
All I would have needed was 4 more points.
Helen, jeez.
And fucking
Zombie,
the other guy.
if I
The other
didn't
guy
get
ended
hurt,
up.
Cheese
The
would have
other
put up
guy
more.
ended up needing. The other guy ended up getting the 2.
Zombie
goal
should
line
be 0
touchdown.
too.
You would have lost by a point if you started Hunter Henry.
Okay. All right, Cheese, comments on your good victory?
Another solid outing. You know,
Okay.
for some reason, every player on my team likes to get hurt every week. So I'm hoping we can weather the storm because I think when healthy, I have a good group of guys.
Okay.
So hopefully.
Had.
Yeah, the Barkley
Oh.
injury definitely makes Kyron Williams your FAAB budget
Kyron
be
Williams
even bigger
saved
of an
my season
acquisition.
at the moment.
Okay.
It's saving my season.
I would
And
agree.
Barkley, well, they said he was like questionable for this week, which is very surprising. He's not playing, obviously, but he'll be back by Monday Night Football. He'll be
Okay.
good to go.
All
He'll
right.
be good to go.
Interesting.
No
All right.
long-term stuff.
So looking real quick at the standings after 2 weeks, like I said, we have 2 undefeated
Go on,
teams. Ernie, huh?
I said go on, Ernie.
Ernie and Bill both at 2-0, so strong starts for them. And me in third on points at 1-1. Whole bunch of 1-1 teams, as we have Rad as well, Cheese,
How do I get
Zombie,
shit emoji?
Matt,
What the fuck is that?
Pook in 8th, Slaps as well at 1-1, and Pussy in 10th. So 2-0-2 teams, 2-2-0 teams, and everybody else at 1-1. Just how we like this league. Very competitive so far to start the year. As we look here, let's go into the FAAB budget acquisitions for this upcoming week after the waivers have cleared. And obviously, no surprise here, we have a huge acquisition by Bill for $103. The new guy that has now topped the $100 man, Jerome Ford, the Cleveland running back now that Nick Chubb is out for the rest of the year. As we look, it was a pretty competitive bid as Bill outdid Zombie by $1. Zombie was trying to play face that he didn't care about Ford and wanted Breida when he was making all his moves to try to acquire more free agent budget for this, although I don't think anybody really believed that. Well, yeah, you got Breida, but you put in a $102 bid for Ford, who you were clearly wanting instead of Breida, or else you wouldn't have put in $102 on Ford.
Well, yeah, but that's why I said I'm gonna get my guy either way.
Okay, so you were saying they're both equal good guys and you both wanted
Well,
them.
yeah, one was a plan A, one was a plan B.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Jerome Ford was clearly your plan A that
Was
you
it
didn't
worth
get
it though?
because Bill outspent you by $1.
Because
Sorry,
Bill's a
bud.
little. Because Bill was AIDS.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't
I
help you
mean,
there.
Bill wanted Ford and he made the moves to make
He
sure
just gave
he.
fake red Kelsey.
We'll look at the trades here in a second,
Dave.
but I don't
Fair.
think he just gave them away. I mean, I think Bill
Fair.
got some decent players
I
back.
mean, he got
But I mean, some people would argue you just gave Kamara away. So
Whoa.
Yes, you did. That was the worst trade of
I
the year.
mean, we'll look at it here in a second. So, anyways, huge acquisition for Bill, especially now that they've signed Kareem Hunt. Bill seems to think it doesn't matter that Ford will just be the guy and will just pound the rock and get all the carries
fair
and
though.
everything.
Fair.
Don't. I mean, if you're going to sign Kareem Hunt, you're at least going to use Kareem Hunt on third downs, which is going to hurt some of Ford if he doesn't continue to run well. I don't think Jerome Ford's going to be Nick Chubb by any stretch, so we'll see if this $103 is worth it or if it's a huge overspend. Only time will tell. I understand why Bill did it, but at the same time, maybe you let Zombie just overpay and see what happens. But we'll see. We'll see with that. Anybody else have any comments on Jerome Ford that they'd like to make?
I look at it as Bill getting Waddle for 103.
Okay.
Go on, lad.
All right. Interesting. All right. Bill also splashed more cash, so he splashed a ton of cash week 2. Cheese was the big spender week 1. Then Bill's turn in week 2, as he got Josh Reynolds for $30. He outbid Zombie once again by $4. So Zombie getting the better of, or Bill getting the better of Zombie again, outbidding him by 4. Zombie, any comments on that?
Oh, on.
Josh
Yeah, I was
Reynolds?
8 too, because he.
Huh?
I fucking thought that he was just gonna spend all of it on Ford.
Okay.
That should have to up
Well,
my
Zombie
bid.
had a
he
plan A
spent
and plan B.
enough to outbid you, but then he still had extra because he had like 130 some or whatever.
Yeah, I should have put a higher bid on, but
Okay, interesting. All right. Looking here, Zombie though did win his bid on Matt Breida
Terrible.
for $28. Um,
garbage.
so Zombie, I take it by you spending 28 and only Tyler spending 4 that you believe that Matt Breida is going to be a stand for a few weeks, not just 1 week.
Yeah, Cheese is in denial.
No, first
Okay.
of all, multiple factors. One, the Giants have like 3 running backs they use without Saquon. Gary Brightwell, there's also a rookie. And they're also playing San Francisco, so it's not going to go well for this week.
Okay.
Ooh.
And
All
the
right.
Giants play Monday Night Football, so Saquon has extra days.
Look,
He will be
even if
Okay,
perfectly
Saquon,
hold on.
healthy.
Let me ask. Okay, so Zombie, I'm sure you disagree with some of that, obviously.
At best, it's
Um,
2 weeks.
okay,
At
I'm
Yeah,
sure
best.
you
Kyron
disagree
just
with that. So
Kyron just had 28. What?
Okay, but
Against
Kyron
I
is
Oklahoma.
don't
actually
think you
good.
can. I don't know if you can necessarily just compare equally. But okay, Zombie, let's say Cheese is right, and it's only this week against the tough 49ers defense, and let's say he gets like 7 points, and then Saquon's back. Is that that's obviously a like loss of $28, correct? Or are you only
Oh yeah,
expecting him to play this week and you're okay with spending $28 for a guy that's just
even
playing?
if he only had like, if I hadn't made the trade, I would still have needed like a running back to play this week because
Okay.
my Eckler is hurt,
There's better
so I
Okay.
don't know if
options.
he was gonna play.
Okay, so if you remember last week when we asked you about Joshua Kelly, you said, no, I don't need him because Eckler will be back after 1 week. So now you're conceding the possibility that you need a running back now because you didn't get Eckler's replacement last week.
Well, yeah, I need a running back, but Kelly didn't end up doing anything either.
Yes, that's true. He did not, but I'm just trying to understand your logic because it seems like last week you weren't concerned at all about Joshua Kelly, and now this week you did all these moves to try to get these waiver running backs, including you say Matt Breida, who you really want, who seems to only be like a 1 week replacement possibly. But
I
I guess
think
we'll see what happens.
I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna play 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay, interesting. All right, well, we'll see what happens with that. Zombie also, for $24, picked up Tank Dell, who he had
This
some
was your
bids
best
on. This was a decent acquisition for Zombie, as Pook bid 17, so and Cheese
fuck
also
Pook.
bid 11, so that was a decent acquisition, as he looked pretty good last week for Houston. Zombie, I'm sure you're happy about this pickup.
Yeah, fuck Pook. Anytime I take something from Pook,
Okay,
it's a
you're
good
happy.
day.
Okay. All right. Moving on, we had Bill getting Zach Ertz for $16, and another decent pickup, as
Zombie in
Zombie bid
second.
8. So we had some other bids on him as well for 3 and then a couple zeros. So Bill gets a tight end who he needed since he traded away Kelsey. And I guess he's not going to rely on Kyle Pitts. So he's getting some decent tight end who had a
It's the
decent.
Pence.
Yeah. Zombie picked up the Pittsburgh Steelers defense for 12. A little bit of an overpay there, as Pook only bid $1, but as it is a defense, that Zombie must need some type of defense, and Pittsburgh did look good this past week. Um, Pook then picked up Keandre Miller, a running back for New Orleans, until Kamara's back. Could possibly get in a play for $9. Kind of just mediocre. We'll see what happens with him. Zombie picked up Daniel Jones for $4 and then dropped him. Did you drop him in waivers that I saw a little bit ago?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he
basically,
did.
you just threw away $4.
Look, I don't blame him again for Danny Jones. He is Justin Herbert quarterback.
Okay, so why did you bid
Yeah.
for? Why didn't you just bid 0?
No, I thought someone was gonna at least bid like $1 or $2.
No, me and Golfer got our QBs last week.
Okay.
No one else needed one.
But then you just turned around and dropped him.
Yeah, I ended up having, after I made my trade, I had too many.
Okay,
Players?
so you just threw away $4. All right, interesting. Then we had a kicker bid off, as Rat outbid Pook, who bid 0 for the Dallas kicker, who has looked pretty good so far this year. Rat, I'm sure you're happy to get him.
Eh,
No, just so.
after watching Sanders miss 4 kicks, yeah.
Okay, all right. This was an interesting one that I somewhat liked by Pussy. He went out and got Pierre Strong, who nobody really was talking about. Could maybe get a little bit in the mix for some carries for Cleveland. Got him for 3 for cheap. I mean, for that cheap, you might as well take a little straw just to see if he gets in on any type of passing situations or anything. Pussy, any comments on that?
Yeah, I had to get some piece of the
Cleveland
puzzle that
backfield.
just
Yep,
got
keep your
shattered.
stack.
So
Okay.
we'll see about that.
All right. And then Slaps picked up Brett Maher for the Rams, as he just changed kickers. Man, Evan McPherson had all that hype a couple years ago, and now is on the waivers. Not looking that great. All right, so those were the waivers for this week. Some very interesting spends. Let's see. Can we look real quickly? Let's look at the budgets, where that leaves everyone. So Ernie's still with $94. Bill all the way down to $34 now. He had way much, and he spent a ton this week in waivers. So he's all the way down to 34. I still have 50 as I didn't spend any this week. Rat is down to 23. Cheese down to 20. We have our first person at 0, as Zombie has exhausted all his waiver budget. Now, obviously, he could trade for some back later in the year, but he is the first person now with $0 after
I
week
offered him some
2.
FAAB.
Okay,
Declined.
interesting. Matt with 100 still, as he has yet to make a move. Pook with 70. Slaps with 60. Pussy with 92. And then Zach, who has yet to make a move, with 100. And Tyler also with 100. So some interesting things there. Zombie, I take it you're not too concerned with being at $0 after week 2?
No, with the way fucking people just give out FAAB left and right, I'll get some back.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, let's look at the trades. Now, for some reason on this, it's not showing the FAAB that is included, so I'm going to have to look this up on the app.
Is this just a sleeper thing? Like, ESPN never traded FAAB, did
Yes, this is one advantage of going on Sleeper, is you can include FAAB in your trades.
they? This is fucking AIDS.
How is it AIDS? It makes it better. FAAB is part of your team. You can use it as a bargaining
How
chip.
are you bitching right now and you have 0?
Yeah, I mean, you out of everyone has so far used it the most in your negotiation skills, so I don't know why you're hating on being able to do
No, it's
that.
been Bill. I've had to do that because Bill has been fucking.
Okay, well that's called
Trying to
strategy,
fuck me up.
Zombie. It's called do better. You know, I'm sorry you're used to generic ass ESPN where you just do a
I
simple
won
trade and that's
money
it.
on
But this is the big
ESPN.
boys now, Zombie. Step your game up and stop bitching
Whoa.
about Sleeper. Adjust, adapt. You're
Get
sounding
with
like
the
an old
times.
man on the frickin'
Get with
porch
the
that says, "Get
times.
off my lawn because I'm used to ESPN a certain way."
I
Get with
Adjust.
the
listen.
fucking
Yeah,
times.
Sleeper
Jesus.
to
So
make you send Kamara for Zach Moss and 38 Fab.
shut the
Don't blame
fuck up, bitch.
Sleeper.
I'm beating you this.
So, alright, let
Okay,
me
we'll
real
see.
quickly, I'm just trying to pull up some of these trades so
It's
I
a
have
very
them on my
interesting
phone because
setup.
they don't have the frickin' fab on it. Alright, let's see here. So, yesterday.
There's a
You scroll up, right?
little amount of
No,
trades.
lead transactions.
This
What do you
is. I'm
Scroll
on
down.
I'm on
Just
all
scroll down.
trades. These are just all the trades starting from yesterday.
So you
But
gotta
it
scroll
doesn't
down as
include the
well.
fab, so I want the fab numbers on here.
How do you even get to that recent
If you
activity?
go to league and then recent activity and click.
You
All right,
have to
so the
go to
first
the
trade
league.
was Bill. This kind of
Yeah,
got some things started as Zombie and Bill, or sorry, Zombie and Rat made a trade
you're going
here.
backwards, golfer.
What?
You should start. You should scroll down and then start from the.
I am. This is the first trade of
Isn't
yesterday.
there more?
Oh wait.
Buddy, they're
Yeah.
time stamped.
I know. I thought I scrolled down
Yeah, but
enough.
we had a lot of trades.
I know. I thought I went down far enough. I didn't. All right.
There it is.
Here it is. All right. So this was Camara. Right here, Camara. All right, where's that at on here?
Remember the amount of fat because it's gonna stick in my head.
Somebody fucking listed all their players on the block.
I think in the league chat it tells you the fab.
It does.
I should
That's
go
why. That's
drop
what I'm
one of my
scrolling on
guys.
my phone right now for. I'm almost there. Bill and Zombie. All right, here. So this was the one that started the day, as Zombie acquired Zach Moss and $38 of fab from Bill for Kamara, Williams, and Chuba Hubbard. So basically getting Kamara for Zach Moss and $38 of fab. So this got Zombie in position to have the most fab to go after, obviously, one of the running backs that we already talked about. Zombie, so at this point, I'm sure you were feeling pretty good after this deal, correct?
Yeah.
Even though everybody else is ridiculing you for giving up Alvin Kamara for Zach Moss and $38 of fab.
Yeah, I don't know where. Somehow Alvin Kamara turned into wide receiver.
Yeah, Pook
or
kept calling him the
RB1.
top 10 running back for the rest of the year. I thought that was a little interesting.
Well,
mean,
I do think that if you're already waiting this long to get him, like, he has no competition. It's a
Here's
free
my problem.
RB1.
You're not guaranteed that somebody's not gonna do a trade later. So why would you like get rid of Kamara for Zach Moss and then 30th?
Because I
I mean, you
view.
coulda. Maybe you coulda just waited out with Bill
Because
instead.
unlike you fucking crazy
You did it
fuck,
so early.
I don't view Kamara as a RB1. Because
okay.
I'm not
I mean,
delusional.
I don't value
But
him as
you,
an
but you,
RB1,
you
but
view Ford as RB1.
I'm not saying I value that high. I just don't value
I view
Zach
Ford
Moss
as
and
my
38
RB2.
fab. But
So,
we'll
but you
see.
rather, but you did this so you can get Ford. So you rather have Ford than Camara.
Yes.
No.
All right.
Well, you don't have either now, so good,
Plus, I
You did
good
think
it too
move.
early in the day. That's
Good
my
move.
opinion.
All
Should
right.
have waited
So
it
now
out.
you have your third option, Breida, as your RB2 instead of Camara or Ford. The real question is, would you rather have Camara or Breida? Zombie.
Kamara.
Okay. So I think that kind of explains a little bit of how that trade might not work. But anyways, moving on then to the next one. This one I found very interesting. Cheese trades away his sun god who was not for sale in Jerry Jeudy for CeeDee Lamb. So he basically does a 2-for-1 where he upgrades, I guess you could say upgrades with CeeDee Lamb for St. Brown and Jerry Jeudy. Obviously, you know I don't care about Jerry Jeudy, so you got rid of him. I don't care. To me, just CeeDee Lamb for St. Brown, it's kind of just a matter of opinion on who you like more. Obviously, Cheese likes CeeDee Lamb more, or he wouldn't have done the deal. Um, I mean, I guess he's also worried about St. Brown's toe injury and injury concerns. So I
Look,
think it's a fair trade, and I think Cheese, I mean, it'll be play out. You'll see who it does better throughout the season, but I can see why Cheese did it.
look,
Cheese,
I do agree. It's a fair trade. There's value on both sides. I just don't want to deal with
his
Mr.
injuries.
Turf Toe. I
Okay,
can't deal with that. But
makes
half my team's
sense.
fucking dead. Also, Cowboys look actually really good this year, and my reasoning is that CD put up like 11 points, which is fine in a 40-0 blowout.
Huh?
So in more competitive games,
Hmm.
they'll be targeting all the time.
The
Okay.
untouchable son got turned out to be
I
gone by
never
week
said
two.
if you
He didn't
listen to
say
the
untouchable.
party,
He just said
I
not for
said I
sale.
need the right
That is
offer to come
true.
around. I said
I
I'm not
will
going
say
to
though,
trade for the sake of
I
trading.
Okay.
And then I
relax.
said,
All right,
like
cheese.
I
All
In my
said,
right.
opinion, Cheese wins the trade.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
There you go.
All right.
I
I
like
Interesting.
think
CD
Tyler won
Lamb.
the trade.
You think Tyler won the
I
trade? All right. Well,
I
we know
like
Zombie
CD
loves
Lamb.
St. Brown, so
Yeah.
okay.
look, last year CD was wide
He
receiver
was good.
5
Yeah, he was
The only
very
PPR,
good.
time he's gonna suck
and the
is against the
Cowboys are
Eagles.
really
And
weak this
CD
year.
was taken ahead of St. Brown in the draft, so it makes
He
sense
Yep.
that
was.
you had gave up Jerry Judy, which is to me is no real give up because
Jerry
you know I
Judy's
don't
like
like him.
Jerry Judy is at best could be a really good flex play, but I have a lot of flex plays, so
Okay.
I get the upgrade at wide receiver. Arguably, Tyler still gets good value back. Good trade for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. This one, I mean,
Yeah, it's slumps again.
we're not gonna spend too much time on this one between Slaps and Tyler, as it was kind of just a bunch of trading some decent players, but some boomer bust type players. Zay Jones, Gabe Davis, and Brian Robinson go to Slaps. Tyler gets Raheem Mostert, who had a good game, Godwin, and Burks. Um, to me, I really don't have too many opinions. They both are boom bust type players on both sides. Brian Robinson has looked good so far, but so has Mostert. So Gabe Davis had a big game in week 2, and Godwin has been pretty steady. So to me, it's kind of just a wash. I don't really. It's got to just be personal opinion on what players they like.
I
So
agree. It's a
yeah.
wash. It's a wash.
Okay, moving on to the next one. This one was between Bill and Rat, and this was kind of the first somewhat shocker of the day, as I was a little bit surprised that Rat, after saying he wasn't going to really touch his team or make any huge
Wow.
trades, then made this big trade. Hold on, I'm finding it here.
We all at the beginning of the year, it's called the Red Trade Waste team.
This is
Yes.
where I
Okay,
fucked
so
Zombie.
Rat gets Hopkins, Travis Kelsey, and T. Chandler
And shit. So, yeah.
for Keenan Allen, Michael Pittman, Komet, Antonio Gibson, and 49 FAAB. So obviously this put Bill back in position to overtake Zombie for Jerome Ford. So obviously this was a strategical move by Bill to trade and get Kamara, trade and get these other wide receiver pieces and the FAAB, but then he gives up Kelsey and Hopkins. I personally, in my opinion, I like this trade for Bill. Obviously, I think it was very strategically smart for him, not only to get the FAAB back to then move back over Zombie when Zombie thought he was in position, but he also got some good players. Keenan Allen had a huge week against me this past week. He looks very good so far this year. Michael Pittman has also had a pretty good, strong start. I mean, he's been pretty consistent. Obviously, you're hugely downgrading your tight end, but Bill picked up Zach Ertz, so he believes he can manage tight end role. For Rat, it's about getting the stack. So he's got the Kelsey and Mahomes stack, but he severely downgrades at wide receiver with Hopkins instead of Allen, and then also losing a flex Pittman. So and losing the 49 FAAB as well. So I actually believe that Bill wins this trade when you factor in the other aspects of now getting Jerome Ford as well, who could be something. So I like this trade more for Bill than I do for Rat. The KC stack can only be league winning dominant for so long, and I think we've seen through this KC offense already that this year
Well,
it ain't the same
he's been
as the
here one
previous
game.
years. So,
Relax.
well, 2 games now. I mean, there's been
It
two
ain't
Well,
the
games.
same.
I
It ain't
mean,
the
So
same.
I
he
don't
wasn't
know
there
if it's
game.
going to be
He wasn't there
it's
game
going to be
one.
good. Hold on. I'm not
Look,
saying wait, I'm not saying it's not going to be good. There's going to be weeks where it dominates, where they both put up 20 plus or they
Relax.
both put up huge number. But I
Okay.
just don't think
That's
it's
fair.
going to be the league winning dominant stack that it
Okay.
has been in previous
Okay.
years to make
look,
you want to
Rat.
give up all
I
that
will
wide
say
receiver.
this.
Okay.
I think me and Bill both got what we wanted. Obviously, Bill, I kind of played in part to fucking over Zombie,
Okay.
and we were talking about it. I found it funny that Bill
Okay.
overtook Zombie in the final minutes.
So basically what I'm hearing is you
Oh,
did
no, no,
this
no,
trade
no,
partly
no,
to
no,
fuck
you're not
Zombie for
listening.
fun.
Let me finish. Not
Okay.
listening.
You're so stupid.
Pittman with Anthony Richardson getting hurt, I think Hopkins and him kind of equal out now. I'm kind of I could see them being equaled out. I see Keenan Allen in the FAB for Travis Kelsey pretty fair. And then I see Komet and Gibson and Chandler just washes. So,
Okay.
yeah, see it as a pretty. I mean, Keenan Allen, Kelsey. Obviously, I want to get the stack, spend in the FAB. So that's the way I look at it. Obviously,
Okay.
Bill made some good moves with it. I made good moves with it. I like my team. So
Look,
yeah,
Rat overpaid for Kelsey
Mhm.
I didn't
Okay.
overpay.
when there's been a
This
lot of decent tight ends this year that will give you like between 8 and 12 points.
We've seen Kelsey for like one game.
Okay, well, you're hoping he puts up like 15 plus every week,
the
or that's
same
an L
You
shape.
bullshit.
also have to remember too that he's not fully healthy yet, so there's always potential for
Okay, that's what I'm
re-injury.
saying.
There's always
W-
potential for re-injury.
The
Look,
one
And
game
Rat.
we've seen is he
No,
wasn't healthy.
the same
Be back.
bullshit that he said about me trading Camaro for Fab. He just did the same thing
to
There's a
trading
spite you.
difference
Fab.
between getting Zach Moss and
Okay.
I actually got value back
Well, the
for it.
difference
Look,
between Rat's right. The difference is he actually got the player
I
he
ac-
wanted, Zombie,
I
and you
got
didn't
value.
look,
in
Rat
that move.
is dismantling his wide receiver corps.
Yep.
I don't think I'm dismantling.
He's going for the high
You're
end players and
starting
hoping it pays
DeAndre
off.
Hopkins at wide receiver too.
I think he's washed out with Pittman now because of the injury to Anthony
I'd
Richardson.
rather have Keenan Allen, Pittman. Komet was like doing fine too. So you're really hoping
All right,
you're
that's fair.
relying on if Kelsey doesn't start putting up
So
big
who
numbers,
is your
it's a
flex
loss.
now?
Marquise Brown.
Oh,
Okay. So you went so you went
And the
from
big part of the
Tyreek.
deal
Wait, you
here,
had wait, hold
I
on.
kept Tyreek Hill.
So you
yeah,
went from
Tyreek and
Tyreek
Keenan
Hill,
You
Allen.
had
Keenan Allen, and
Tyreek,
Pittman
Keenan
to
Allen, and
now
Pittman.
Tyreek
It's a
Hill,
severe downgrade
Hopkins,
at
Okay,
and
wide
Hollywood
receiver.
Brown.
To
okay. So this
Hopkins,
is
Hollywood
okay.
Brown, and
For
Severe
Pittman.
the
downgrade.
upgrade of
You're
Kelsey.
not listening
So
to me.
that's just kind of where I mean,
Okay, I kept
you
Hill.
clearly think that's
Pittman and
better.
Hopkins are a wash. Keenan Allen, once Eckler gets back, is not going to be Keenan Allen same points.
Okay,
So
that's
I
not
don't know if that
accurate.
really
we'll
correlates.
see.
That's a running back, and I don't.
We'll
Rex
see.
trying to justify it.
Okay. All right. Well, we will
Zombie,
see. It's
Whoever
all a
let me say
matter of
this.
wins.
opinion at this
Let
point.
me
We'll
say
see how it
this.
plays out.
I made a better trade than Zombie, and we can all agree with that.
I don't. I'm not gonna agree with you on
Okay,
that.
you're not saying Zach Moss and 38 fab
No, I
players.
think they're both bad. I think
Okay,
Zombies is bad because he didn't get who he wanted and got screwed over
I
by you
got
and Bill.
what I
But I
wanted.
think
I
you,
got
instead of
value.
just focusing on your team and what it
I
does
got
just for
value.
your team, you let the whole, oh, I can fuck over Zombie by
Oh
doing this to help
no.
Bill. And
You
I
cared
think you
more
let
about
that
what
play a
other
little bit
people are
into the
doing.
trade, which
I
in
thought it
the
was
end
funny
hurts
at
you.
the end because I realized what, like,
I
I
mean,
didn't care about
your
the
team has
fab.
put up 2 good weeks
All
with
right,
the
I
wide
think there's
receivers you
plenty of
had. I
people
don't
putting up
know why
weeks.
necessarily doing the
I
trade
think
like
Pittman
this.
equals.
It makes
Okay,
sense.
No,
I mean I think
congratulations,
Okay.
you played yourself.
we'll
Okay.
see.
Well, we will find out. All
Buddy,
right,
we'll see
moving
about the
on.
matchups.
Moving on to the next one. Here, let's
There, he
see.
got his guy.
We have Bill and Zombie. So not only did Bill make the moves to get the Ford, but then he then uses them as a bargaining chip with Zombie to make a trade to get Matt Breida, Jalen Waddle, and Dobbs for Reynolds, who he acquired off the waivers and beat Zombie on, McLaurin, and Jerome Ford. So 2 of the 3 guys Zombie gets are his waiver acquisitions that he also gets all the rest of Zombie's fab, $34 fab. So Bill gets the Breida, Jalen Waddle, who hasn't had a huge game yet, but he's been pretty consistent, over 10 points, and 34 fab to go with Breida. And Zombie gets his boy Ford, gets the guy Reynolds that he got outbid for, and then gets Scary Terry McLaurin back. Interesting trade. I'll let everyone kind of say their opinion on it. I clearly think Bill wins
Go
this
on,
trade.
Zombie.
I think Bill made some smart moves using his fab to then use it as bargaining chips because he knew that Zombie got outbid by him both times. And he gets a big upgrade at Waddle, who I think will pick it up as the season goes on. So far, Tyreek's kind of been the story, but eventually Waddle has the potential for the big games. And as long as he can stay healthy, which obviously there's some injury concerns now for Waddle, but assuming he is healthy enough to go, I think eventually he'll start performing. I think Zombie gave up on him a little too early. So I'm going to give, plus Bill gets $34 fab back as well. I think if this trade was just made without the fab, then maybe I say Zombie gets a little bit better of the end. But the fab there added in to me is kind of the part that I give Bill the advantage. Cheese, you have
I
any
mean,
thoughts?
ugh, I don't know. I feel like Reynolds is good, but he's a fill-in.
Yep.
Like at best, you hope some guy is like not full strength for a couple weeks, and then by the time
Okay.
in that week James Williams gonna come back. It's like it's just
Jesus,
literally just a couple
Jameson
weeks of
Williams.
Reynolds,
Okay.
and then with Scary Terry, that's whatever. Like he'd be fine. And then you're really, I mean, Ford, you're hoping, but Ford, we don't know. That could be, so it's a gamble. You're giving
It
away
is a
Bill.
gamble.
It was a smart move by Bill. He uses FAAB basically to get Jalen Waddle.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
but
gets Fab
Zombie,
back as well.
I still think if Ford's like a solid running back, Zombie could get some value out of
Zombie
it.
could
But
win it. Okay, that's fair. Rat.
Look, Zombie talked about me not getting value out of my trade, but Bill kind of worked him for
Mm.
the first trade
Okay.
with the first trade that went down, and
Okay.
then Bill came back, got more fab under what he wanted, Waddle, who I think, Tyreek and Waddle I can't hate on, so
Okay.
I don't want either of them to do bad because that would be karma.
All right.
And I think Zombie got worked with Bill.
Okay, interesting. Pussy, you've been quiet. You have any thoughts on this whole
That is
Fab
true.
trading
I
saga?
forgot Pusa was here.
I've kind of been in a depression golfer the last couple of days, if you haven't noticed. So,
Well, I've noticed, but
um,
so you don't have
yeah,
any thoughts on this whole thing?
I I just don't see myself making a lot of these trades, but
Okay.
is
All
what
right.
it is.
All right. Okay. Interesting. All right, Zombie. So you didn't get your guys in the waivers, despite the moves you made to try to get them, giving away Kamara, but then you end up just trading with Bill to get the guys you wanted that you didn't get in waivers.
I will
Explain.
say, oh,
Oh.
Yeah,
my bad.
I don't give a fuck. I was gonna get Ford one way or the other.
Okay, so you are just all in that he is going to
So are
be
we
the
looking at it
workhorse.
as Kamara and
So
Waddle?
do you
I
think
will
he's going to
say,
just pick right up for Chubb, or you think he's going to be worse than Chubb but still like an
We
RB1?
uh yeah, somewhere around there. Even if he's like an RB2,
Okay.
I'll take it.
All right.
I just needed someone to for this week
Okay.
and for the rest of the
Thoughts
season
though
to
on
be
Waddle?
bigger.
So you're not high on him?
No, I was, but the problem with Waddle is that he doesn't. He always has a lot of game. Like even last year, he always has a lot of games
Hmm.
where he's just very like basic 10 points,
Okay.
which you can get from a lot of guys. Like a lot of the times he underperforms, and it's
Okay.
annoying. I'd rather have a
All right.
better floor.
All right. And I would ask you about Scary Terry, but in the very next trade, you traded him away straight up for Godwin. So you can obviously talk about that, include that in. So you
Yeah,
apparently you like Godwin a lot more than Scary Terry.
I like Godwin going forward. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Very interesting moves. Zombie was very, very busy these past 2 days. I don't know if that screamed that he was not happy with his team or he just wanted to do a big nuke shakeup or what, but very interesting. Moving on past that, we had another interesting move here with Rat, as he was not done, even though we were told he wasn't going to be doing a lot of big trades as he was happy with his team, but I guess he wasn't done as he traded with Tyler. He got rid of Pitts and Raheed Shaheed and picked up Hollywood Brown and Traylon Burks. So gave up a tight end to obviously that he didn't need because he got Kelsey, and gave up Shaheed, but then bolstered a little bit of his wide receivers since he downgraded big time as we talked about before with the other trade. Rat, you can explain or give your thoughts on this
I like Marquise Brown for
one.
the
Okay,
rest of the year, especially when Kyler Murray's back. And
if he's
then
back.
if,
Okay.
if. And shit's pits, I feel like we've seen enough over this last year and a half to just I don't see what he's doing in that Falcons offense. And I don't blame Kyle Pitts. I blame the Falcons for just being bad. Or
Okay.
just through the run game.
All right.
They played the
Look,
run game.
Kyle Pitts sucks. Not sucks, but
Yeah,
his offense sucks.
that's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
I cut David Drake London. I couldn't deal with it.
I was trying to
He'll
get
have
fat, but it didn't work.
he'll
All
have
right.
some
Well, we'll
good
see if you can
games.
deal with that Arizona offense
Yeah,
anymore
I don't know.
because it
Okay,
ain't like that's a
but
big
hey,
upgrade from the
Marquise
Falcons
Brown
offense.
just did have a good game. I
Look,
think
Okay.
I think he's guy, like their guy in
I'm just saying, you complained about the Falcons offense, but then you went and traded for a guy
I
in the
get that,
Tennessee
but
offense and the
I
Arizona.
get that, but
Yeah,
I
you
think Marquise Brown is their guy that can.
okay.
In defense of Rat, the Cardinals at least throw the
And
football.
Rashid
Okay.
Shaheed is the third
Whoa, and
wide
my boy
receiver
James
on his
Conner's
team,
running all over. They
and
don't
Marquise
need to.
Brown is their one.
Okay. All right. All right. And then to wrap it up, this hectic past 2 days of
Again.
trades, a final trade between Slaps and Zombie. Obviously, there was talks of a nuke by Zach, but in typical Ernie Zach fashion, it was all talk and no actual substance, as it didn't happen yet. As we had a kind of decent trade here, kind of went under the weather. A little surprised by this. Garrett Slaps gets Garrett Wilson for DJ Moore and R. Johnson, the running back for the Bears, who has had some decent start to the season, fighting for Khalil Herbert for those starts. So an interesting trade here. I mean, Garrett Wilson was one play away from having a horrible week, which I wonder if Slaps knew that, first of all. And second of all, if he didn't know that, then how that's going to react. Because I guarantee you, if he only saw 5 points next to Garrett Wilson's name this past week, maybe he doesn't do this trade. DJ Moore had a big week as well, target-wise. Got some big catches, so we'll see how this plans out. I mean, it's basically, would you rather have Wilson moving forward with Zach Wilson throwing the ball to him, or would you rather have Justin Fields throwing the ball to DJ Moore and the Bears running back, if he
Nope.
takes off, could be better?
Okay.
I like Zombie side a little bit more on this trade just moving forward, just because I can't trust anything to do with Zach Wilson and that Jets offense now. Anyone else, their thoughts on this?
I agree with that, and then
Okay.
Slaps tried to give Zach Wilson to me, but
Yeah.
I did not see
I've
the point
noticed
in
a
him doing
trend
that.
with Slaps. He trades
I
for wide receivers, and then he instantly tries to trade them elsewhere.
I did
And
not.
I
I
have told
thought
him
Zombie
about three
got the
times
better
I
end.
don't like these certain wide receivers that he tries to then offer me after he's traded for them.
Zombie won this trade.
Okay, interesting. So might have been the only trade that Rat says you won this week. Zombie, you're
It's not even close. I think. I
okay.
think
Wow.
DJ. I think DJ Moore's in a better situation than Garrett Wilson,
Okay.
and then he gets Johnson.
All right. Zombie, your thoughts on this one?
Yes, after fucking Slaps got peer pressured once again by
Yeah,
fucking
to
Pook
cancel.
and Pusa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I
had
mean, when you
to
negotiate
move
with
up to.
Slaps, you have to know that that's a possibility at this point.
I
That
mean, but
he will
it's
give in to peer
fucking
pressure.
crazy that one opinion changes his whole
Yeah, well,
outlook on a trade.
I mean, you got to remember, he's the UK lad. He's his methods of trading or player evaluation is a little bit different than others. So the peer pressure is
Yeah.
easy. So
But
all right.
I did
Yep.
it mostly because I have Herbert. So if he
You
was
want to have
go
both
down,
Bears running backs. I got you.
yeah,
Okay.
insurance.
All right, interesting. All right, so a very busy 2 days. We'll see if any activity continues for the rest of the week before week 3, but let's look at the week 3 matchups. For this week, we will start with my matchup versus Cheese. So a battle of 1-1s going at it here at the moment. Sleeper has me projected to win 120 to 114. Should be a decent matchup between me and Cheese. I have Brock Purdy on Thursday Night Football against the Giants. I hate Thursday night players, but hopefully against that horrible Giants team that has been off to a rough start, hopefully Purdy and that 49ers offense can do some good things against that Giants defense. Pollard against Arizona should be decent. Walker against Carolina, looking for another good game from him. Jefferson against the Chargers, who he's already been talking some trash on, so hopefully he backs up his trash talk with a huge game again. DK Metcalf against Carolina as long as he plays. Like the matchup. Hawkinson against the Chargers as well. This week, George Pickens into the lineup after his huge target game this past week on Sunday night against the Raiders. Like the matchup, he's been getting a lot of targets so far this year and had a huge game this past Monday night. So I'm inserting him in this week with Connor on the rough matchup against the Cowboys. After seeing what they did to Breece Hall, I'm going to sit Connor this week and go with Pickens and the targets. Hopefully that one will work out for me. And the Browns against Tennessee. And that huge offense of Tennessee, as long as they can stop Derrick Henry, hopefully they can get me some good points. On Cheese's side, he has Goff against Atlanta, Kyron Williams on Monday night against Cincinnati, so that could be a big matchup if our matchup's in the air come Monday night. Aaron Jones, as long as he plays against New Orleans. CeeDee Lamb against Arizona could be pretty good. Lockett against Carolina. So we have both Seattle wide receivers. So this matchup could very come down to which Seattle wide receiver does better. Evan Ingram against Jacksonville. Robert Woods in the flex on Sunday against Jacksonville. Interesting flex option there. Tyler Bass, and then the 49ers defense against the Giants on Thursday. So that could be a very good start for Cheese on the defensive front if Danny Dimes continues to turn over the football like the Giants have been doing. Cheese obviously has Ayuk on the bench, who's questionable, so we'll see if he ends up changing him. It's a Thursday night game, though, so he'll have to make that decision on Thursday if he puts him in or not. So that's some possible changes. Obviously, I'm going to predict myself to win, but I do think it will be a close matchup. That will come down to Monday night in Williams. Hopefully, after some hot games by Williams, Cincinnati's desperate for a win. Hopefully, they bow up, play some better defense, and I can pull out a victory on this week to move to 2-1. All right, Rat, who's winning this matchup?
My predictions never got. Well, some of the predictions have been right. I think gonna go one. I think gonna be golfers shrugging this out. I think Jefferson's gonna have a good week.
Okay.
I think CeeDee Lamb's gonna have a good week. I think the struggles for Cheese is gonna be. I think Aaron Jones, if he does play.
Okay, coming back off injury.
He's gonna,
Saints has looked
yeah,
pretty decent so far on defense,
the
just
rest
not
he
on
play.
offense.
We'll see how it goes.
I have no one else.
Okay.
Well, you said Barkley might be back, buddy.
He's not. He's out. They
Uh,
said it.
Okay. Pussy, who's winning?
I have Gopher here winning
Okay.
pretty comfortably.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Tricky
I don't
cup.
know about that.
Chill.
All right, Zombie.
I got you winning.
Okay.
I don't think Jones is gonna play.
Oh.
Cheese is fucked.
Okay. Interesting. Who do you have on the bench if Jones doesn't play?
Don't worry about it.
Latavius
Latavius
Murray
Don't worry about it.
or Tank Bigsby? All right.
We're really short on options
All
here.
right,
Okay?
interesting.
You
My
got
my
Brown.
question to you though is, are you playing Ayuk if he's playing on Thursday?
Look, I need to. He practiced kind of today. I need to see
Yeah.
what happens.
Well, I'm
if
just
you see
asking. Let's say he's playing. Are you playing?
It's super close. I still think
Okay.
I stick with Bobby Trees because he's
Robert
getting like a
Woods.
shit.
Wow.
He's
Okay.
getting a lot of like all. He's Robert Woods. You look at his targets. He's getting like 10 targets a game.
Okay.
Seems to have a very solid floor. Don't want to
Okay.
risk Ayuk being a decoy or just like getting a couple plays.
All right.
Especially because it's not a tough matchup. The Giants will lose, barring
Okay.
something crazy. So they're not gonna. They don't really need him.
All right. So
I'm
I take
hoping
it
they
you're
just.
gonna pick yourself to win.
I'm gonna pick myself to win, but I'm gonna need to score a lot of points.
Okay.
I can't. I've had some tough matchups the first few weeks. I don't get to face bums like some other people do.
Okay. Well, that just means later in
Um,
the year you'll face them. So.
Goff versus Atlanta is a great matchup. Be a high-scoring affair.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
hoping Kyron sticks up. If Aaron Jones is out, I'll need to pivot, but we need him to play.
All right. All right. Interesting. All right, moving on to the second matchup of the week, we have Matt versus Bill. At the moment, Matt projected to win 113 to 108, or no, 106. Matt has the Cam Newton, Geno Smith against Carolina, Najee Harris on Sunday night against the Raiders, A.J. Dillon against the Saints, so some rough matchups for some running backs that have struggled so far this year, but we'll see if Aaron Jones doesn't play. Maybe that helps Dillon a little bit. Diggs against Washington, Devontae Adams against Pittsburgh, and Njoku against Tennessee, T. Higgins on Monday night against the Rams, Bucker and Miami defense against Denver. On Bill's side, he's got Josh Allen against Washington, Ramondre Stevenson against the Jets, Matt Breida, the newly acquired Thursday night back against the 49ers. Tough matchup, so we'll see how Breida. Bill is not worried about Breida at all, so we'll see how he plays. Keenan Allen, newly acquired against Minnesota. Pittman, newly acquired against Baltimore. Could be decent. Ertz, newly off the waivers against the Cowboys. The tall Jefferson, Nico Collins against Jacksonville in the flex after his big game last week. And the Bills defense against Washington. Um, so Bill's team is very, very revised with a lot of new players. Matt's team is the same it's been so far. I think I'm going to pick Bill to pull out the victory. Uh, I just think, although Matt had a good week last week, I don't know if his wide receivers can just keep up the pace of carrying his whole team. So I'm going to take Bill to get the victory in this one pretty, not easily, but by 10 to 15 points. Cheese, who's winning?
I mean, Matt's running backs really are atrocious, but as I said last week, his wide receivers can carry him.
Yep. The question is, do
Um,
they this week?
I like the moves Bill made. I think he's a really strong wide receiver core. Zach Ertz has been a very solid tight end. And I think Allen will have a big game. I gotta stick with Bill here just because I
Okay.
feel like Stevenson will provide more value
Okay.
than Najee. I don't know. I don't like Breida though. I don't think Breida will do anything.
Yep.
But
Okay. All right, Rat.
I'm gonna pick Matt in the upset.
Wow. Okay.
I think Najee can show up this week. He was running mad last week at the end. Aaron
Is it an
Jones
upset? He's projected to
goes
win.
out,
Yeah, he
and
is
then
projected to win, so it's not
okay,
really an
but
upset. Zombie's right.
obviously you're all picking Bill.
Well, me and
Um,
Cheese so far.
okay, so far 2 out. I mean, you know who's picked Bill also. Zombie will and Pusa will.
Okay.
Um, you know, I think Matt's wide receivers pop off.
Okay. Interesting. Pussy.
I'm gonna pick Bill here.
Okay. And Zombie.
I'm gonna pick the favorite Matt.
Hmm.
Oh,
Okay. Interesting. All right, moving on to the next matchup. A battle here. This is a
watch
this
out
is
the
a big
Irish.
one. Uh, Pussy, who's a little bit down on his team at the moment, but it says he's going to keep battling at 1-1 versus Tyler, looking for his first win of the season at 0-2. So a big matchup here. We have a quarterback change up for Pussy as Kirk Cousins, Captain Kirk, you like that, in there against the Chargers. Deshaun Watson to the bench, the Brown stack to the bench. Javonte Williams against Miami. We'll see if he could finally get it going. Travis Etienne against Houston. That could be decent, but we're going to need a bounce back from Etienne after a bad game. Cooper in there against Tennessee. Christian Watson, if he plays, against New Orleans. Goddard on Monday night against Tampa, and Drake London against Detroit in the flex, and the Green Bay defense against New Orleans. On Tyler's side, he's got Lamar Jackson against the Colts, should be pretty good. Madison in there against the Chargers. We'll see how they use Madison now that Akers is in the mix. He hasn't done anything so far this year, so we'll see if he can do anything before Cam Akers gets in there. Mostert, newly acquired against Denver, in there to help his running backs a bit. St. Brown, newly acquired against Atlanta, could be decent. Terry McLaurin, newly acquired as well against Buffalo. Kyle Pitts, newly acquired against Detroit, and Damian Pierce in the flex against Jacksonville. We'll see if he can get a good game from Pierce finally. And the Jacksonville defense against Houston. Um, Although Tyler has shaked up his roster quite a bit, I like the fact that Pussy made a QB change, and I like some of Pussy's players and matchups for this week if they play. At the moment, assuming they play, I'm going to take Pussy to get the victory over Tyler in a close. I think the sleeper projection's pretty close, like a 110 to 105 type game. But I think Pussy will get the win. Cheese.
can I pick no one to win?
You can pick a tie.
I
That's
hate.
fucked up.
I really dislike both of these teams.
Well, you can pick a tie then.
Why are you
I
just hating on Pusa?
look, Pusa is doing the best he can, but he has a lot of question marks in there. Like it's not unreasonable to say like Christian Watson, Goddard, and London could get combined like 5 points. Like there's a lot of
They
question
could.
marks. Um,
Well, we haven't
I,
seen
I
Watson yet, so we don't know what to expect from him.
like Cousins is solid, ETN is solid.
I like
I
the
don't know.
fact though that Pussy has ditched some of his guys that he is stuck by so far, like Watson and Jahan Dotson. Like he was all in on
Yes, I
these
do
guys
like
to start
that.
the year, and he's already decided, you know what? I've seen 2 weeks of them. They're trash. Time to change. So okay,
I mean, I
so you're
do.
taking a tie or
I respect. I gotta take Tyler just because I feel like
okay,
Mostert has been on fire. Lamar, Billy bounce back.
Okay.
Scary Terry is solid enough.
Okay.
Yeah, he has some more solid guys, but I really don't like anybody on. Some bad matchup, but I'll take Tyler.
Okay.
But if Pusa won, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. All right. Rat.
I'm taking Pusa by a comfortable margin.
Okay.
Um, I think Tyler is just dying right now with Madison and Pierce. As I don't think, but Pierce is scary. Damian
Okay.
Pierce is starting to get like scary. Bad.
Okay.
So
Yeah, the
Crazy. He
Pusa,
Texans
was very good running back
love
last year.
throwing it.
Yeah, very
yeah.
good running back last year, and it just hasn't happened so far this year. Maybe
Unless he makes
maybe
lineup
they
change,
start running.
maybe he does that. So maybe that could help him. But
Well,
I
he's
just
made a
don't
lot of moves
see.
this week. He does have
Yeah,
Cooks if he
I don't.
plays. Could maybe put him in there. He also has Judy.
Yeah, I think he needs to get away from Pierce if he wants a chance to win this.
Okay, interesting. All right, Zombie.
I'm gonna take Tyler.
Tyler.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Pretty even so far. All right, Pussy. Are you gonna get this win this week against 0-2 Tyler?
Yeah, I am. I think it's
Okay.
going to be a close game. I
Okay.
need Williams. I really need Williams.
Yes. Yep. And Etienne.
But
You need them both.
I think Watson will be back and he'll be ready to go. So I'm excited.
Okay.
If I lose this week,
Yeah.
not looking up for me.
Ooh.
So,
So wait, are you projecting if you lose this week, you may blow it all up?
well, next week I play Pook.
Hmm. Okay.
And
I mean,
then
Pook
next
hasn't
week
been
after that
having
I
a
play
great season.
Zombie.
Okay.
So,
So
I
you're
mean,
just
it's going to
saying you
be.
have tougher matchups
Or
ahead.
no, I play Ernie that week.
I
So
will
yeah,
agree.
I need.
I will agree. Your schedule so far has been pretty light. So if you could go 2-1 to start the year with the way your team's looking, that would be the best case scenario I think for you. So I would
Correct.
agree.
Yeah, Pusa can
And
get
then I
these
need Taylor.
wins.
Week 5, when Taylor comes back and wants to play for the Colts, I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Pusa cannot be in total
So
disrepair by the
you're
time
not worried at all that he
these
said
players
he'd
come
never
back.
play for the Colts again. That doesn't
I think he will play
worry
for
you.
the
Oh,
Colts.
okay. All
In
right.
all honesty.
Well, obviously you got him. Okay. All right. Interesting. Moving on to the next one.
Oh God.
Big matchup here between Ernie and Slaps. This one will be a good one in the group chat. As we all know, Ernie likes to talk trash. Slaps will give him the GG. He's lost at some point whenever Ernie goes up. We all know that will happen. Right now, at the Sleeper projects a very close matchup, 114 to 113. Basically 114 to 114. Ernie has Trevor Lawrence against Houston. It could be a very good matchup there. Bounce back for Jacksonville's offense possibly after the rough one last week against the Chiefs. McCaffrey on Thursday night against the Giants. He should feast in that matchup as Connor had a big week last week against the Giants. Henry against Cleveland. Calvin Ridley looking for that bounce back as he's got the Lawrence to Ridley connection. Mike Williams against Minnesota could be decent. Laporta against Atlanta. Justin Jefferson Jr., Addison against the Chargers. And the Philly defense on Monday night against Tampa could be good as well. On Slaps' side, he's got Hurts on Monday night against Tampa. Mixon on Monday night, so quite a few Monday nighters against the Rams. Newly acquired Bijan or Brian Robinson against Buffalo. Christian Kirk makes a back in the lineup after his big week last week against Houston. AJ Brown on Monday night. We'll see if AJ Brown can finally have a big game. Kittle on Thursday against the Giants as well. Newly acquired Garrett Wilson against the Pats. That could be a tough matchup, but we'll see what he does. And the Jets defense against the Patriots. Although I like some of Slap's matchups and like that he has some Monday night guys. Could come down to that Monday night game. I am going to take Ernie though. I think Ernie's lineup is just better. His matchups aren't that bad. I think McCaffrey will feast. I think he could get some big games from his Jacksonville guys. So I'm going to take Ernie in a decently high scoring game. I still think Slap scores a decent amount, but I think Ernie gets the win and moves to 3-0. Cheese.
Yeah, I mean, Ernest seems just better.
Okay.
Although Derrick Henry was limited today,
Okay, yeah, that could be a big key if he somehow is
but
out.
Slap seems to always start the wrong people.
Okay.
So
Well, I mean, is he starting the wrong people this week? I
I
think
think this
he's
week he maybe figured it
I
out,
think he's
but
got the right guys in there this week.
you could argue that Swift could go in over Mixon's looked
Against
terrible.
Tampa though, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like this week he's finally got the right combo, but Garrett Wilson I don't like at all.
Okay, yeah. That trade was the
Kirk,
one I think
I
is a little bit
mean,
iffy for slaps, as we already
I
talked
think
about.
I think Brian Robinson's been really good to start the year, but Kirk and Brown obviously are solid but need to prove themselves. Ernie's really good matchups.
Okay.
Once again, though, I could see Slaps pulling it out.
All
I
right.
just think Ernie's got the edge.
All right. Interesting. Rat.
I think Ernie's gonna win comfortably.
Wow. Okay.
Ernie's team's good, 3-0.
Mm.
I predicted Ernie three
God
straight
help
weeks.
everybody else if Ernie's 3-0. Okay.
Slaps, I do like the matchups. I do like how he picked them. Eagles defense is about to give Ernie about 25. Uh, eh, Ernie's got the win.
All right. Pussy.
I'm gonna pick Ernie, and
Okay.
then it's just fuck.
Do you have a bet with Ernie on
I
your
do, I
regular
do,
season?
I do have a
Who?
Oh
Ernie.
yeah.
That ain't looking. Is it who finishes higher
Yeah, it
or
is.
who?
Mm-hmm.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how panicked are you on that after seeing Ernie's team?
Can you ask me again in week 5?
Okay. I'll say that's about a 4 right now, and then week 5 it'll probably be worse. Okay. All right, Zombie, who's winning?
Uh, I think it'll be close. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout like Red said, but I'm gonna
Okay.
go with Ernie.
All
I
right.
didn't say blowout. I just said
You said
comfortable.
comfortably. That
Yeah,
implies
like 15-20. Not a
That's a
okay.
blowout.
blowout.
That's
That's a
kind of a
blowout.
blowout.
That's a blowout.
I
That's
mean,
kind of a blowout.
Anything
depends.
over 15 is a blowout.
Depends how you look at it.
I'd say 20 plus is a blowout. Okay. All right, moving on to the next matchup. Can Zach get a win against his arch nemesis Pook?
I don't think so.
Pook 1-1 versus Zach 0-2 at the moment. Does Pook have his lineup set? Well, he's got
Probably not a kicker.
Richardson. Does he have his lineup set?
Not a kicker.
He's missing a
10 points.
defense,
7
right?
points. No kicker.
Yeah, he's missing a kicker.
Just say 8 points.
So just give him like a
So I
predict for
mean,
100
Zach's
or
still
something.
projected to beat him by quite a bit.
Oh,
16 to 92. Well, we'll say 100 with the kicker, and it has Richardson's projected points, so he's just not projected for that much. Huh. Interesting. He's got Taysom Hill in there and his flex. That's why. Taysom Hill's only projected for 6.
I don't like that.
Who does
I'll be
he?
real.
He's got Pacheco on the bench.
Sutton,
Mingo,
Bingo.
Robin. Interesting. All right, so he's riding with Taysom Hill at the moment. Interesting. All right, he's got Richardson against Baltimore. If we are assuming he's not going to play though, right, because of concussion, so he'll have to put
Well,
Fields in possibly.
to be fair, it's been 3 days, so you can't pass the concussion protocol in 3 days. So
Okay.
we won't really know till tomorrow on that.
Oh, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's
But
the
he does
hard
have
thing
Fields
about
on the bench against Kansas City if he has to go with him. We'll see what happens with that. Gibbs against Atlanta. Bijan Robinson against Detroit. So both the young rookie, high drafted running backs for Pook facing off against each other. We'll see if they both pop off to try to show each other up and get huge points for Pook. That's interesting there. Olave against Green Bay. Finally, Nakua gets in the starting lineup after 2 huge first 2 weeks. He gets in the lineup against Cincinnati on Monday night, so we'll see how he does there. Waller, after a decent game last week against Thursday night against the 49ers. We'll see Taysom Hill, like we said, against Green Bay in there at the moment. I don't know if he'll be changing that or what. Then he needs to get a kicker, and the Colts defense against Baltimore. I don't know if I like that much. On Zach's side, he has Tua against Denver, Josh Jacobs against Pittsburgh on Sunday night, Miles Sanders against Seattle, Jamar Chase. Can he finally have a good game on Monday night? It'd be a good time for Zach to get it on Monday night against the Rams. Debo Samuel on Thursday night against the Giants. We'll see if he can have another big game after last week. Andrews against the Colts. Mike can't guard Mike Thomas against Green Bay. Carlson and the Chiefs against Chicago. So if Pook does have to start Fields, that would be interesting because that would be Zach's defense against Pook's quarterback. So interesting possible matchups. Although I think both of Pook's running backs have good games against each other, I am going to take Zach. I know it's not an upset technically, but to me it feels like people feels like Pook should win, but I think Zach is going to pull it off. I think he gets a good game from Chase. I think Jacobs has a decent bounce back game as Chubb was looking really good against Pittsburgh last week until he got hurt. I think Jacobs can finally have a good game. I think Chase has a good game. I think Debo has another good game. I think Andrews gets a bigger game now that he's back and going. And maybe can't guard Mike gets into the end zone. So I think this is just one of those scenarios where Zach's lineup finally has a decent, strong week, and I think he gets the win over Pook in a decent 15 point margin. Jeez.
Look, I was gonna say something similar. Zach's players have to do something eventually.
Mhm. Okay.
Luke's running backs are undoubtedly better, but like I feel like Chase and Debo, it's just good matchups.
Okay.
I'll pick Zach, but I'm not gonna feel great about it.
Okay. Interesting. Rat.
I feel bad for this pick, but I will pick Pook.
Okay.
I don't see Zach's team meshing again. It's unlucky for Zach.
Okay.
I do like Pook's team. I think
All right.
Nakua is going to help him.
All right. So you think another big game for Nakua? All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Pussy.
I'm gonna pick Zach here, and
Okay.
I think Zach's got a decent team. He's just had some bad luck, and
Yeah.
hopefully he will trade.
Hopefully he will train. All right. Interesting. And Zombie. I think we know who you're taking.
I'm taking my buddy Zach.
Okay. No surprise there. I will make a prediction though. If Zach wins this week, he will finally come out of his depression. Okay, real quick before the rankings, Pussy, hold off on that. Skipped a pretty important matchup. Rat versus Zombie. How could I skip this one? This is a big one based on Rat trying to trade fuck Zombie with the FAAB and the Ford. Man, if Jerome Ford pops off this week for Zombie, that would be something. All right. Rat right now projected to win 127 to 110. He has Mahomes against Chicago. That should be a great matchup. Cook against Washington. Brees Hall looking for a bounce back against the Patriots. Tough defense. See if he can get it. Tyreek Hill against Denver. Hopkins against Cleveland. Travis Kelce against Chicago. Like you said, this is a big matchup for the Chiefs stack as against that Bears dreadful team. So this could be a week where that Kelsey Mahomes connection pays off for Rat. Hollywood Brown in the flex against Cowboys. I don't know about that. And Dallas defense against Arizona. On Zombie's side, he's got Herbert against Minnesota, Eckler against Minnesota. If he plays, we'll see. Ford in there against Tennessee, so he's looking for a big game from him. Devontae Smith on Monday night against Tampa. Godwin on Monday night as well against the Eagles. So 2 Monday night wide receivers. Hunter Henry against the Jets. DJ Moore, the newly acquired, against Kansas City in the flex. And Pittsburgh's defense on Sunday night against the Raiders. Just out of curiosity, if Eckler doesn't play, you go in Zach Moss. Or maybe that Bears, one of the Bears running backs. Probably Zach Moss. All right, interesting. This is a tough one to predict. I think this will be a closer matchup than the sleeper thinks. Zombie just has some question marks for me. I don't know about Ford. He does have 2 Monday night wide receivers, which could mean anything. Could come down to Monday night. But I think overall, I think the Mahomes to Kelsey stack for this week will make Rat look smart. I think Hill also has a bounce back. I think Cook has another decent game. So I'm going to take Rat, but I think it will be a closer than expected high scoring game. Cheese?
I don't love Brees Hall.
Okay.
I don't think Kelsey being projected for 18 points is a bit much.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it'll be a much closer matchup. Eckler's not playing.
Okay.
My guy was wearing a bucket hat
buddy.
today to practice. He's not playing.
You
Okay.
know who's not
But-
playing Barkley?
Zombie, huh?
You know who's not playing Barkley?
Okay, I have Aaron Jones.
Who's not playing?
I think he is playing. I think Zach Moss is fine filling. I'll go with the upset and pick Zombie.
Really? Wow. Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm not a believer in the Mahomes-Kelsey stack to be
Even
that
against
good
the
this year.
Bears? Wow.
Well, what happens when they go up like 30-0 and they just take him out?
Mm, okay. All right. Interesting. All right. So pick for zombie. Pick for rat. Pick for zombie. Pussy.
I am going to pick Rat because
Rat.
I
Okay.
don't think Eckler's going to play,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's
Okay.
that. I like Rat's team.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Zombie. You made a bunch of moves. It's gonna pay off, or you're gonna get fucked by the Mahomes stack, Chief stack.
No, I will beat Fake Rat.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
and it'll be closer than this fucking sleeper app projects. See, this is another reason why I hate fucking
Oh, here we
sleeper app.
go.
Here we
Okay.
go, just
Why
Okay,
does it
you
even
Because
give
it's
matter?
projecting your team too little. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons too. Like, okay, you give Mahomes 24 points, and you give Kelsey gets 18, right? And no
Yes.
other tight end gets above 12 in the projections. Like,
Yeah.
unless you have like Hawkinson is
Well,
the
it's
second
because of the
highest.
matchup. They're projecting them to shit on the Bears. So.
Yeah, but it's also like they always project one
Kelsey's
guy higher
also
than
the
everyone
best
else.
receiver
And
Okay.
then
Well,
tight
lucky
end.
for you, it's just a projection. You don't have to get all
oh
too
yeah.
concerned over
And then
Don't be
like
mad at
I
sleeper.
have Hunter Henry. He gets 17 and 16 points, but he's projected for 6.5 again. Like
it.
like they
Okay.
make like
Okay, it's just
6.5 the
Go
goal.
projections. It
down
doesn't
with
actually
this.
matter. It doesn't
Okay.
actually matter.
I think it's because you're playing the Jets, who are a decent defense.
But
Okay.
I'll beat Fake Red because you know what? Brees Hall is not gonna get touches again.
Hmm.
No.
Okay.
James Cook is gonna be a bum again.
I mean, he wasn't a bum
He's
last week, but
I
okay.
think
he's
Zombie's
starting
missing.
starting Hopkins and Hollywood Brown. He's about to get
Hmm.
a reality check
Hmm.
with
He's
those
gonna miss
guys.
Keenan, huh?
And
Okay.
I
my
do agree with that.
That
and
is something interesting that he could have had Keenan this week against you having Herbert. So that's interesting. Now
and my
Herbert's gonna be. If
defense,
Herbert throws a couple touchdowns to Keenan, then that's all points for you and nothing for. Right. That could be
yeah,
a difference, possibly.
and my defense will outscore his defense,
Hmm. Okay.
and
Interesting.
that's how I'll beat him.
All right, Rad. I'm sure you disagree
Well,
with
I'll
that.
see. I'm picking myself.
Okay.
Jerome Ford also plays the Titans, and we've seen the Titans be the best run defense
Okay.
in the past, couple matchups. If I think Zombie's missing the point. If Eckler doesn't play, I do have his boy on my other side I can
Ooh.
play.
Ooh.
And Minnesota
Okay.
is a very shitty run
Uh
defensive
huh.
team, so I
Okay.
could plug him in if I
Good
needed
point.
to.
Okay.
If you scroll down here,
Yeah, I
scroll
believe
down
you.
a little,
Yeah.
Godwin. Now I wanted to see like the other starters.
Huh.
Godwin is gonna get locked up by the Eagles defense.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, the reason I'm starting Marquise Brown is because I saw Zach Wilson throw a little slant pass to Garrett Wilson. I think that could happen. I think if
Okay.
Marquise Brown could sneak through, give me those points, give me a touchdown.
Okay.
Dallas
Interesting.
defense is gonna shit on
Against
the
your
Cardinals.
defense, though.
Yeah,
Wait. You
but
just you just said that,
no,
but
you're
then
not
you
listening.
said the defense.
Okay, last week they played the Jets, right?
Yes.
And Garrett Wilson had that thing, and
Okay.
Dallas defense still gave me 15.
Okay. All right.
So I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Tyreek Hill is gonna drop a good 20 plus.
Okay. So how
So
much are
I
you
think I
beating
win the
him by?
matchups.
So do you agree with
Um,
Sleeper to be this big of a
yeah,
favorite, or?
sleeper has good projections.
Mm,
Go on sleeper.
okay. All right. All
So
right.
yeah,
Just out of curiosity, we talked about Jerome Ford. If I set the line at 10 fantasy points for Jerome Ford, are we taking the over or under for his
I would take the
week?
under.
over.
Wow, geez, you
It's
take
the
the over?
Titans defense.
Okay.
I
No,
think
dude.
he'll fall
Pussy?
into the end. I think he'll fall in the end zone.
Jerome Ford 10 points.
Yes,
I think
over
it's
under
going to be
10.
under.
And I
Look,
would agree. I think it's
look
under.
at the Titans defense against the
I think
I
it's
run
Look,
under.
in the last.
I
know,
think
but
the
they're
Titans
gonna.
defense is good, but he'll fall in the end zone and maybe
Okay.
catch a couple
Okay.
passes. That's easy 10.
All right.
Okay. All right. I
I'm not
think.
saying
Also,
he'll get much higher over 10, but I
al-
think 10 is doable.
Okay.
also unlike Chubb, like Jerome Ford can pass catch.
Okay. But do
But
they use
he,
him
Zombie
as a
definitely
three
pointed
down
out
back?
Look,
I
we'll
Eckler.
don't
see.
think
Either
so.
way, I think this is not a good indicator of his going forward.
Okay. All right.
This
Fair
week, you'll really
enough.
have to look at like the snap share and like if he's running it but just getting stopped because it's a good defense.
I mean,
Okay.
Zombie, you're saying Hunter Henry put up 16 back-to-back weeks, but Tyreek put up 40 the one week. Should he just be projected for 40 the next week? Like
No,
what?
but it should be higher than 6 points.
Yeah, I
That's my
agree. He
point.
should be projected for around 10.
Okay, like 8, 10.
Zach
And then
Ertz
10.
for
Yeah.
Bills has 2 more points projected, yet he's
But you are
gotten way
missing the
less than.
point. I could play Josh
I mean,
Allen
they
in
could
Sleeper.
adjust that as the week goes on, though, Zombie.
So maybe
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I
that
mean.
is
Like
true.
Sleeper doesn't adjust the projections on like as well
I
as
also
ESPN.
could
But I
change
don't
my
think you need
lineup.
to worry
My
about
my lineup's
projections.
not final yet. So.
Or fake red.
Well,
If you
that
don't
ain't a
start,
good thing, because that means you're just going to change something and fuck it up.
Whoa, whoa,
yeah,
whoa, whoa.
you're just gonna
Well,
fuck
no.
your
What if
team.
Marquise Brown? What if I want to
Okay.
play somebody else
Okay. All
So you
right.
on my
traded
bench?
So
to
it
not
sounds like you're
start Marquise
undecided.
Brown.
Well, okay, against matchups.
All right.
Yeah, I'm
The
not
more you're
decided
talking
yet.
right now, the more you're making me want to switch my pick to Zombie. But I'm
Oh,
gonna
buddy,
stay with you for at the moment.
buddy.
All right. So
Still
now
looking
that
at
we've gone
matchups.
over all the matchups, now that I haven't forgotten any, now Pussy,
Yeah,
can
I
you
can.
see the screen and can you read me off
Yes.
these Zach
Oh,
It's
10K
just fuck
complete
cheese. We
unbiased
It
get
NBA
it.
says fuck.
rankings? Well, don't forget the number one.
Number one.
Okay.
Number one, fuck.
Okay.
Number 2 is you.
Okay.
Number 3 is Jew.
It could
Okay.
be anybody.
4 is pussy.
Wow. Okay. Our guest.
5 is ass.
Okay.
6 is jobless.
I
All right. Wonder who we're
literally have a
talking about
job.
there. All right.
7 is bitch.
Nope, not me.
8 is kill. 9 is yourself.
Okay.
10 is cheese.
Wow. All right. There you have it. There's Zach 10K's completely
Oh,
unbiased
Thomas.
MIA
you,
rankings
thank
that
you,
he
Zach, for
sent
your great
in
rankings. I
for this
appreciate.
week. Thank you
Uh,
for reading those, Pussy. All right. We will
What an
catch
opportunity.
everyone back next week. Good luck to everyone this week in their matchups.